Hi, I'm Phil. I'm a software QA analyst with the Geocortex Mobile team. Today, we're going to take a look at how you can create and customize launch links to make managing your field operations quicker and easier than ever. Let's get started.
For today's demonstration, we're going to look at the use case of a dispatch coordinator managing damage assessment and repair field crews looking after electrical infrastructure following a large storm in downtown Montreal. Our story begins, as it usually does, in your ArcGIS Online environment or your Portal Enterprise environment, and I'm simply going to navigate over to my web map that I've created for this purpose, and we'll see that it contains a couple of layers corresponding to reported damage locations, as well as some polygons describing damaged areas. Once I have my web map all created and configured the way that I'd like it to, I'm then going to navigate over into the Geocortex Mobile App Designer. You can see I've already gone and created a basic app using some of our default template options, and also added in a couple additional things like adding in a legend to help out my field workers. Launch links can be used to either simply launch the app itself, but you can also configure them so that way once the app is launched, a specific workflow will fire immediately. In order to configure that workflow, I simply navigate over to the Services tab. I'm going to go down into the Launch Link Workflows section. And from here, I can add one or many workflows that I want to be able to configure links for. Simply click on the Add Workflows button. That pulls up the item picker. You can see I've created a workflow already for this demonstration. Simply select that. It adds the workflow into the app, and then all I need to do is save, and I'm ready to go. To create the launch link, I simply go over to the Deploy section here. And at this point in time, I have the option to generate links for the development version of my app, or I can also make it for the production version of my app. Let's push this through to production now that I've added in my workflow, so that way everything is up in the latest and greatest app that I want to work with. Once it's in the production stage, I can either generate the link immediately for a Go app, but then I can also create custom apps if I'd like to go that route instead. Either way, when I'm ready to get the links, I simply click on the little three-dot button, click on the Get Links option, and now we'll see that I have a little drop-down menu which will allow me to select the workflow that I've configured before, and then I can choose whether or not I want a link to launch directly into Geocortex Go, but then I can also generate links in case I've created custom apps, and you'll see there's a little QR code here on the bottom as well. For now, we're just going to stick with a generic Geocortex Go app, and we've got a couple of options here on the right. I can either simply copy the URL itself, or I can immediately leap into it. I'm going to copy it just so that way we can take a look at the syntax itself. So I'm going to copy that, I'm going to open up a new browser tab, and I'm going to copy that in. There are basically 4 different tiers of links that you can create. At its most basic level, it simply launches either the Geocortex Go or the custom app. That's this first little GXM Go part right here. At the second level, you can launch the Go app and then launch a specific app that you have access to. That's where this and app equals, and then this ID here corresponds to the web map from back in our ArcGIS Online account. The third tier is to launch a workflow, and so once again, we add in this workflow value here. It adds in the corresponding ID generated in App Designer, so this way once the app launches, the workflow will fire automatically. And then lastly, at the fourth tier, you can also specify parameters or arguments to pass through to that particular workflow if you have configured it in such a way to do so. These parameters are stored in standard JSON value key pairs. So for example, if I wanted to pass in argument 1, I can simply put that in parentheses, colon, and then value 1. You can specify multiple parameters if you'd like, so I could just keep on going through and adding all of my parameters until I have it configured the way that I want to. This is optional though, so for the purpose of the demonstration, we're just going to stick with the standard app. So I'm not going to specify any of these parameters and leave it as is. The experience will vary slightly depending on whether or not your user is signed in at the time that they access the link. If they are not signed in, they'll be prompted to sign in from the standard Go sign-in screen, and once they've been successful at that, it will then launch the workflow inside the app that they're looking for. If the user is already signed in, like I am, when you hit this button, it is simply going to launch directly into it, and we'll get into the app and the workflow that I want to see. So let's do that now. You'll get a little prompt. There we go. It's going to launch my locally installed copy of Geocortex Go. It's going to sign me back in. it's going to open up our demonstration app, and it's going to go and fire a nice little workflow here where I'm prompted to collect some information. It's greeting me. I'm going to do some simple responses like adding in a date, indicating what type of hardware it is, the severity of the damage, and I can choose whether we've completed that repair. Once that's all done, I'm simply going to hit submit, and then that is going to be reflected on the piece of work that has been assigned to me here, as you can see my changes. These links can be shared in a variety of ways. You could store them in an Excel spreadsheet, a Word document, a PDF. You could host them on an internal or an external website. You could send them by email. There's a variety of different methods that you can do. At the end of the day, these launch links make it very easy for your administrator to pass along the exact work and workflow that your field crews need to do. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel as we're constantly putting out great new content all the time. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day.